And that picture is backwards.
Yes, I noticed that when I saw it the other day. Something wrong with that. Yeah. So George, talk about the main reception.
From the very beginning, it was a planning challenge because the lifts to that floor did not coincide with the center line of the bay window that we wanted to put the reception area. And so we had to sort of have this kind of slightly diagonal entry into the reception area. So from the lift into the reception area, the walls became faceted so that there was a gentle introduction into into a nice rectangular space, or it was not square space, it was a rectangular space. And so we really had to have this kind of sort of side good lad, you found that plan, side-on entry, which in a sense then kind of very, very much sort of determined the form of the room, and the sort of diagonal became faceted, and then from that it prompted faceting the ceiling so that there'd be a kind of comparable or what's the word? Cohesive thinking behind the two.
And also, I think you could also say in the floor as well. I mean, you couldn't step the floor up and down; it'd be awkward. But the floor pattern does change across the room, so it's a very three-dimensional room.
Well, I mean, the floor pattern. We did two things. We entering the space, we kept the scale of the pattern from the lift lobby as you first entered the space, and then as you got in the space, there were two major doors, one to on going north and south, and so we completely reduced the scale of the paving to make a pathway between the two, and then doubled the size of the paving within the main seating reception area, just in kind of identifying the spaces, and it also was defined by how the walls stepped as well. The pattern on the walls was determined. We selected the camphor laurel veneer for the walls and ceiling. And when we were first checked, I was told that it was really just a common veneer and only used on Westie's headboards. We won't say that.
And I can remember you saying it was council considered it a weed. I remember you saying council considered it a weed.
Yes.
That's magnificent.
Yes. Well, I know that a lot of people in a lot of agriculturals in northern New South Wales and sort of central New South Wales try and sort of eradicate it. Because I remember Glenn Murcutt saying to me when I first told him about this, he said, well, at the farm, we get rid of them.
Yes.
Because they just spread it over.
Yeah.
Anyway, it is a delicious, as you can see, a delicious pattern veneer, very voluptuous, and very much lent itself to the ornamented form of the room. But because of the size of the veneer, we had to have horizontal breaks. And so we filled, we did the sort of joint between the veneers in, not book bench, but crossband in Macassar ebony, so that these little bands had to sort of all be hand veneers to sort of form. So we ended up with this lovely vertical grain on the camphor laurel and on the Macassar ebony, and the whole thing was really wonderfully rich. And it was a kind of I don't know, maybe a play on Art Deco forms and a kind of play on the mixed use of veneers by people like Ruhlmann in that period, where you take a very precious veneer like Macassar ebony and combine it with another veneer.
Yes, it's lovely, that dialogue.
Yep.
And also, was there a reference to an Adolf Loos building as well? A stripe, or was that completely striped? Maybe that was another space. But I remember at the time you loved Ruhlmann and Adolf Loos.
It could well be,
Yes.
but I can't remember.
I remember also that breaking having the horizontal lines then allowed places to put handles, so it allowed opportunities.
I mean, all of a sudden, there was these two giant doors going at the north and the southern end, and this wonderful joiner, Colin Coates,
Yep.
made these solid Macassar ebony handles that were solid pieces and laminated together. So we ended up with the vertical joint on the handles that matched the stripe on the banding. And it was really an absolute treasure. And we followed suit on the ceiling step because the introduction of those air conditioning vents. The linear diffusers come in where some of the ceiling is stepped, and then the next one where there isn't a linear diffuser, there's a Macassar ebony stripe, so that the pattern runs through, and when you can't see whether it's a linear diffuser or an ornament.
At the choice of the camphor laurel, did you know what you're after, or did you see that in Frank's workshop?
No, it was there.
Yeah.
And I had never seen it before.
Yes. Yeah.
And
How wonderful.
it was really, I looked at it and I thought, this is fantastic. It's absolutely perfect. And Sam was pure fluke in a sense. I probably went there looking for something totally different,
Yes.
or really having not made up my mind what I wanted for that. I knew at that time I was looking for the veneers for the director's offices and the general veneer and the chairman's office and the boardroom. We had kind of already sort of, the boardroom again was a thing where I saw the veneer, and then the room emerged from the choice of veneer.
Because of that, the
For that
the width of it,
ornament
yes.
of
Yes. Yes.
the floral crown flame mahogany.
Yes.
But this was an absolute, just its decision, seeing it and saying, wow, let's use that. And I was almost dissuaded by Frank Kletzmeyer, and saying that it's really not a classy veneer.
Stunning.
But and the big question whether he had enough
Yes.
for the room, and he had, ironically, a huge stock of it.
Yes. Yes.
I think actually we probably used almost everything he had
Yeah.
for this space.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely, man, just a fluke.
Yeah. Stunning.
Uh,
And then I'd never realised before, but the Macassar ebony with the cheap with the expensive, I think that's beautiful. The way that
yeah.
that's put together, and then the little handles there, they were cut into lozenges, weren't they? The handle, and then they were all
They were
laminated.
solids
Yeah.
that were all laminated.
And as they go around the corner, they actually splay around the corner.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful.
Genius craftsman.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where someone else would have taken the thing, laminated the thing as a block,
Yes.
and just carved it out.
Yes. Yes.
But what Colin did was he spliced it,
Yes.
and so
Yes. Which to me is in the nature of Macassar ebony because it's very linear.
yes,
You've kept that linear quality going around the timber there, and you can
Yeah.
you can still see the grain, but it continued that around.
Yeah.
So it's like a two-dimensional becoming three-dimensional, going back to two-dimensional. Yeah.
and it followed all the way through.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
quite.
Yes.
And then the room, look, the floor material, the
Niramoquena.
thank you.
Yes. I'll never forget it.
I mean that. I can't remember whether that determined. I think that floor was predetermined in the lift lobby and then brought through.
Yeah.
So that came in, and then the choice of the 4 yellow leather chairs really, was a choice of part of our history of design for the 20th century, and that seemed like those chairs designed in the early part of the 20th century seemed like a good beginning. With,
Cubist chairs by who? They're Cubist. Called Cubist by who? Who designed them?
Joseph Hoffman.
Oh, okay.
Aren't they Hoffman?
Yeah. No, I can't remember.
We better check.
Yeah. and the colours. Is the yellow and the green
The yellow and
an
green.
Australian comment or?
I don't think that was purposeful.
Right. Yeah.
It was just seemed like the veneer color, the floor color, and then the leather color just seemed like a nice kind of combination.
Yeah.
Plus the red marble for the coffee table.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And then that was one of your designs, wasn't it? Which
That's it. The coffee table design was something. I think that was something like the third version of that, done early on for John and Ann Chong with travertine legs that were, I think, 30 millimeter and a big thick black granite top, which was much more robust than this. And this one, we scaled everything down to 20 millimeter thick material, and the whole thing took on a kind of racier, more sort of energetic quality.
Then there's then there's I guess there's all the actually you should just talk about the those doors there. The idea that you come from a lift lobby into a room, you have no idea where you're going. Talk about that process.
The reception was a containing box, and to get into other parts of the bank's offices, you really had to be properly introduced and escorted.
Yes.
So visually, there was no indication once you walked in there, unless you really paid attention to a sort of discreet door handle, that there were other ways to get out of this space other than the way you came in.
Yes. Which is a nice fantasy because you don't usually know where you're going. The door's there, this you're in a space that sort of sets up a
You assume, well, whether you assume you can get any place or not.
yes,
But in fact, there were 3 doors. There was one door that went to the managing director's area, and one door that went to the general manager's area, and then there was another door that went to a conference room
mm-hmm.
that you can go from the reception into without entering the banking off the
Yes.
executive office space at all. So that
Yes.
was completely, contained.
Yes, that's right. The only time that happens, doesn't it? The public or a guest could go straight in. It
Yes,
doesn't
I
take
mean, you
them
can
anywhere
go
else.
as a visitor, and you can go into a conference, and and then leave and never see the office
Yes.
spaces.
Yes.
So,
That's as far as the taxman gets. He just gets that. I won't let him any further. And then, so they'd be seated. The receptionist would call, say Nick Whitlam, and then the grand door would open, and he'd come out.
someone would come and get you.
Yes.
You were
They'll come and
always
get.
you were always escorted
Yes.
into the spaces.
Yeah.
No one that really had free access.
Yes.
The doors were not secure.
Yes.
I mean, there was no. You didn't have to have a
No.
car.
Not at all. I don't
to-
think, were they?
Hmm?
No. I think once you got past these doors, these were just on pivots, weren't they?
I'm pretty sure. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I don't
them
think
being,
they were. Yeah.
I don't remember those
Ah.
2 doors being secure.
Yeah.
Needing a card.
Yeah.
But you did have to have access to get past
Yes.
the glass door.
There was an intercom, wasn't there, from the lift lobby in? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was. We'll talk about that conference room in a minute. There was another door which was actually a fire escape door. Here. One of those was a fire escape.
And that was secret.
Yes. Had you forgotten it was so secret?
I completely forgot about that.
And I remember it had an exit sign that was specially designed because the normal ones would look pretty cacked out. Not sure. No, it's out of the picture. It must be this next door here.
That's what it had. It sort of had a half circle,
That's it, something like that. Yeah.
but of a metal.
Yeah, I think it was chrome, and then the green letters were
Yeah,
in
exit.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. And then
I completely forgot about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was so well designed. It was secret. The secret's been forgotten. And on the southern wall, next to the reception desk, I seem to recall there were coat cupboards. So things were built in. There were utility built into the walls.
Behind the receptionist.
Somewhere here there was a coat cupboard. Yeah. So all that was built in and disguised. And
No,
then,
that was all part of her desk.
yeah.
That.
Yes. Yeah. Here it is. There's a little door there. And then you went in here.
I mean, that was the door to the conference room.
Yes.
But I don't remember but there was a coat cupboard
Come
here.
here. So you could take the coat, put the umbrellas there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, they're within the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There.
Yeah. And that's probably because there's a column, it's a thick wall, and there's the space to put it.
Forgot. Not unreasonable. And that was the fire
Fire
engine.
door. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you went into the conference room. Before we talk about that, the desk. Oh, that's a good one.
Well, the desk actually followed, in a sense, kind of not only followed, but reinforced the folded form of the conference room. But
Yes.
at a more electric quality.
Yes.
And we changed the veneer so it became very much a piece of furniture.
Yes.
Yeah. And it really did have a kind of folded paper electric
Yes.
quality, including, I mean, the legs from memory had a kind of electric shock
Yes.
pattern to it.
Yeah. It was a bit like the plan, a regular.
Yeah, and that was a burl walnut with a Macassar ebony top. And the top stepped down so that when you first walked to the desk, you were at sort of meter high, and then as the desk went around, it became if you had to sign something, I think there was a visitor's book at
Yes.
the lower